Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Art Notes, the podcast where myself, Joanthan Liddell, has a chat and interviews other creatives and entrepreneurs. Today I'm joined by graphic designer Nathan Mellis. Nathan, give us a wave. And oil painter Matt Baron. Today we are going to be, to be honest folks, we're just going to be having a long overdue catch up. But the main topic of today is going to be how to make the most of your situation, how to make the most of your environment, wherever that is or whatever you're doing, how to make the most of it. To give a bit of context, we should probably say how we all know each other. I can see this is going to be comedy gold already. We've said before, I met Matt for plus 10 years ago now, exactly. And when I dragged you to Scotland, Baron, so Inverness College. Matt, how do you know Nathan Mellis?
Well, I don't remember the actual day, but I remember the weeks leading up to it. Joanthan kept coming up to me during classes and saying, "Oh, just met this really cool guy, Nathan. You should meet him." I'd be like, "Yeah, cool, let's meet him." He's like, "Oh, he's not here." "Oh, okay. Where is he?" Like, "I don't know. He's around." "All right, then cool, I'll meet him one day." And this went on for weeks. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've just seen Nathan." Like, "Who the hell's Nathan?" Like, "Oh, he's this really cool guy." "Where?" Weeks later, weeks went by, and I finally bump into this guy, and I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm Matt." He's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Nathan." Like,
"It's you."
That's exactly what you did, actually. I remember that. I was like, okay. You had a devil hat at the time, though. It was more of a reddish tinge.
"Oh no, not the devil hat." We're going to talk about that.
No, maybe. We'll see. Maybe it's PG-13 now. Devil hat. That was the first day. Joanthan, you just appeared one day. We were walking. Me and people from college were going to the park, and you literally just appeared. Like, "Hi, I'm Joanthan." Then you offered. We were playing. I think you had an American football or something as well, and then you broke your thumb that day.
Broke my pinky.
Yeah, was it? You broke. Like, you caught it. You did some wild dive with this ball.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
We were like, "Are you okay?" And you were like, "Yeah, man, I'm fine." And then you just broke your finger. I remember. That was the day I met you. You just appeared one day with this American football.
Wooden cutlery from the canteen. I remember making a splint to sort out my pinky, and then eventually by the end of the day I was like, "This really hurts," and I decided I should probably go get it checked out, and came back anyway. So I broke my pinky. That was how we met. Nathan Mellis, from not knowing what the heck you were doing at college to being a full-fledged graphic designer. How did that happen? Why did you end up living with Baron, and how the heck are you now like a fully fledged graphic designer working with some very big names, if I can say that? I know you can't say too much, but I know there's been some big names in the beer and television industry that you have been flirting with. Give us some insight. Let's hear it.
It's been yeah. Nah. Oh man, that's a question. There's a lot in that one question, but I don't know. I guess, hi, I'm Nathan. Originally from Birmingham, and then after school, I went to Inverness. Well, I moved to Inverness, and ended up going to Inverness College. How I became, all I knew is that I wanted to do something in art, so that was kind of the first sort of decision. I studied art, then hence me leading to meet you guys. But I was doing an art course in Inverness, but the move to Scotland was quite a big thing. It took me a while to kind of really adjust, and the kind of culture shock side of it, really. But then I kind of fell in love with illustration. It was kind of the way I kind of expressed myself. I guess they were only really for myself, but then I kind of fell in love with the whole sort of illustration and that side of design. And then I guess from that point, I obviously after college, then I suppose, I don't know, geez, so long ago. I'm trying to really think about this now. I guess I fell in love with illustration. I think the way I kind of got to where I am is just natural progression. You know, I like art, do some art. Now I like illustration. That's cool. I guess it just kind of naturally went from there. I ended up in studying in RGU in Aberdeen, doing communication design. And then from that point, I started to kind of fall in love with sort of graphic design side of things. And then all the skills that I've kind of gained from Inverness and doing my own sort of freelance work and then doing shows, I guess all sort of merged together to kind of take me to where I am now, really, you know. But it's nothing I could have ever really planned. Now looking back at it, like back to Inverness days, I could never have said like, oh, this is where I'm going to end up. Like it just naturally sort of happened for the best, I suppose. Yeah.
Cool. No, a heck of a journey, Mellis. Like you weren't half one for having to throw yourself into new situations every 5 minutes and adapt and all the rest of it. I think going back to Inverness, because I really want to talk about how you made the most of uni. I definitely want to really hone in on that. But I think it is important to highlight that, like, you were working retail for, was it a year when you were in Inverness living with Matt? When you lived with Matt, you were spending a whole year working long hours, doing a job you didn't want to do, having the life sucked out of you. But you took that, were you building? I mean, you were, man. I remember those days. Yeah, tell us about that. Because that was it. Sorry. So, and something really important to highlight. Not only were you doing that, but you were using the best of your environment because you were putting on shows. You were connecting with other creatives, and you were putting on shows, and you were getting clients. Tell us about that. That's really important.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, there's a lot there. Break it down. The job. I was working retail after college. I think I was still debating on what I wanted to do in terms of, did I want to live in England or stay in Scotland? How does it feel? And if I go to uni, what am I going to do? And it was just a lot, really. I was quite young at the time. I took a year out. I said I was going to just work for a bit, get to know Scotland a bit more and Inverness, and to see how things went. So I ended up working in retail, which, you know, in fairness, wasn't the worst or anything. It was just, over time, you get so wrapped up in, when you're working full time like that, you get so wrapped up in the job and in everything that happens in that building, and you kind of get to a point where you either realize that you want to continue doing this or you want to do something else. And the people were lovely, everything was fine, but I just kind of realized that at one point I was just like, this isn't what I want to do forever. And I guess from that point, it kind of made me think, what do I want to do? And then in my free time, when I came home from work, I found myself just completely zoning out, you know, not realizing what time it is and all the rest. And I was just like, had nothing I did for myself. And I started just drawing again. You know, I found illustration was a good way just to kind of get my feelings and thoughts out there. And they were never really for anybody, they were just for me at the time. So I just started creating illustrations after work. Sometimes I'd be awake till 2, 3 in the morning, just drawing away, no purpose. And then until one point, I kind of realized I had quite a big, like, sort of collection of pieces. And obviously I did a lot of illustration in college. I was still in contact with my tutors and obviously you guys, and I met people who are also creative, and I kind of found out there were venues and people doing shows and stuff. So I just kind of, you know, sort of thought maybe I'll put 1 or 2 pieces up, and it kind of went on from there. I remember actually we had a show in the Inverness bus station. It was weird now thinking about it, and it was really odd because, like, they would, like, turn off the lights and lock the door so I no one could go in. So, like, we spent ages framing all these pieces, and then we get there and they were like, oh yeah, they've shut it down every day. But somehow somebody saw our pieces and we're like, hey, we just opened a new art venue and we want to host a show, so you guys can bring them all down. And that's how we ended up doing, like, a nicer venue, and people actually coming to witness the art, and the doors were left open, and all sorts of things. The lights were on. It's crazy. And
people could see your work. Oh my days!
People could see the work on the walls, like, you know. It was,
Was this the King Midas stuff? Like what were you using? Just
I was using foam markers at this stage. I was pure pencil drawing, foam marker, fine pen, these pens. I was Illustrator through and through. Nothing else is going to change. Because I was at the
Purist.
time I was commuting a lot, so I was
Mm.
drawing on trains and all the rest of it. It was just the easiest way. So at that point, it was all hand drawn. I had no real computer skills at this point ever, but I never really had any plans to either. I was just sort of chilling, you know. And then from that point, people started to kind of come up and like, hey, could you draw me, you know, a birthday card, or could you draw me this? And then it kind of grew a bit more, which was quite, it wasn't something I planned or something I was hoping for. It was just kind of an outcome. So I guess that's how the commission side of the artwork came into play on the Inverness days. But yeah, no, what I realized really from doing that is that I loved illustration. I didn't enjoy my job in retail, not because it was a bad job, people were bad, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. So that's when I applied to uni to do fine art.
Yep. So that was So you'd applied to uni to do fine art.
Yeah, I got in as well.
Seriously?
So fine art.
So this was for RGU.
Yeah.
I actually never knew that. We've been mates 10 years. I did not know that. So you applied for fine art, but you then got in and switched to graphic communication.
Yeah, because I was too scared to be like, oh yeah, I want to do this, because I was like, nah, I've been doing art all this time now, and I've only just started doing these illustrations. I don't know if I'm. So I took the art course, and then about 8 weeks in, I was like, I think I'm in the wrong place. So it wasn't a bad course. It wasn't like, that sounds awful. It wasn't like a bad course. I was just kind of realized, I was like, no, I think if it's going to happen, like it needs to happen now. And it was like a very, I think in my head, I was kind of like, let's just be chill. I was like, no, it has to happen now. So like I moved and switched to the sort of art design. So it's like, I guess the thing with these courses as well, like it's not just graphic design. There's photography, there's videography, there's illustration, there's graphic design. So there was never really like a set thing. It was just kind of more towards what I enjoyed. So that's why I sort of moved into that course, which was the best thing really in the end.
Yep. So again, like let's summarize that. You work in the retail job you don't want to do. You're spending your free time creating artworks. You're networking with people in that environment. And again, like those things in and of itself, that is a lot of people's stories. Like there's a lot of people out there who flip a neck. Like that was me for a little bit. Still is to an extent. It's you're making the most of an adverse situation. You put in the time and energy and effort in after the fact that you're creamed from work to then build a portfolio. You're networking with people. You got into a course that you didn't even want to do in the end, and then managed to switch to graphics. And here you're sitting now with a great job. And I know fine well that's come with sacrifice and hard work and confusion and scares. Before we get on to that, Baron, I definitely want to hear your take on how you have made the most of something you would consider to be an adverse circumstance. I mean, you can hit that with whatever you want, but I certainly know that there are things in recent events where you've been like, this is awful. Actually, I can make this work.
I think the easiest one to look at would be the fact that I was made unemployed, well, first furloughed and then made unemployed. And all of a sudden I had all of this time. And obviously a lot of people are in that situation. I was quite lucky in that I had some more support. So I could basically say to myself, right, I've got time. What do I do with it?
Yep.
So I did what I've been wanting to do the whole damn time. My dream came about because of this thing, which was to paint full time. So I just painted every day that I could during the first lockdown. It's been a bit harder now that we're in a weird situation.
Yeah.
Now we're working at not working, and then but still painting as much as I can. So that's one clear example. That's one obvious one, is of making the most out of it. Is just do what you know. Go back to what you know you can do and know that you love. That's what I would do. Does that answer your question, John?
That answers my question. Yeah, very much so. I was just thinking, like, like just off the back of what Nathan had said about like really loving that illustration and then making it work for him and putting the time in, pushing it towards where you wanted to get. Like, I know fine well that you've been creating more work than I've ever seen. Plus, you've had more clients than I've ever heard of. I know we talked about that a little bit beforehand, but again, it was just that case of, adverse circumstance. 100%, it's everywhere at the minute. But we've had those all of our days. And actually, Nathan, I want to come back to you and actually hear a bit more of the uni days and your uni experience, especially, and really gearing towards that feeling of, oh, I can do this and I don't need anybody's permission, and actually I'm just going to go get that thing that I want. How did that come about?
Oh, God. It took the whole years I was there, to be honest with you. It's a big battle of, again, new city, new country, new friends, new start, moving to Aberdeen and all the rest. And then obviously still not really being in Scotland that long. And then also mental health, really trying to balance that. And obviously all the excitement of starting uni and freshers and all the rest of it. Like there was a lot to take in those kind of first few years, And I think realistically what happened was, I think the sort of academic side took a bit of a backseat in my mind. I think I was less focused. And I think that was kind of what really happened, was I kind of lost focus. And then I started to kind of doubt. I just joined the course. I liked illustration. I had no real understanding of like using like certain software for creating other pieces of design to do certain jobs. I felt so sort of behind, not even behind anyone in particular, just behind the idea of what I felt I should be, or where I felt I should be. Constantly just putting pressure on myself, really. So I think I kind of came to a stage in uni where I had to kind of really, I wasn't putting in any effort. I wasn't doing anything. I was planning on leaving the city because it was easier just to leave and start somewhere and all the rest of it. But I had to kind of sit down and be like, what is it you actually want? Wherever you go. And if I did move, I did stay, what is it you want? And I realized then, obviously I did not that exact moments, but for like a few days, sat down, wrote stuff down and took notes, and I was like, I want to be a designer. I want to do this. I want to do this full time. I don't want to be doing jobs I don't have any sort of love or passion or any sort of interest in. I want to be doing a job that I actually care about. I didn't think about wage. I never even looked into the wages at the time, even for what you earn for all these kind of things. I just wanted to do something that I enjoyed. And then from that point, I was like, okay, well, this is where you want to go. What do you need to get there? And then I realized, you need something to learn, understands, and all the aspects of different types of jobs and different types of job avenues and where I fit in and all the rest of it. And I was like, right, now we have that. Now you know what you need to get there. Now, what you need, how do you get there? And then I had to sort of then make an actual plan, the hard bit, like make a plan and actually stick to the plan of, self-improving. Like no one was going to sit down next to me and be like, okay, Nathan, now you want to become a designer, you have to do it. And no one gave a damn. Like, I had to actually get up and do it. So I kind of went back to the Inverness days of drawing until 3 a.m. Kind of got to the point of just kind of watching YouTube videos and having little projects there, making up projects for myself just to kind of get myself in the design mode, and obviously doing uni at the same time and stuff, which kind of led into me doing like commission pieces. I kind of realized that like at some stage I'd need a portfolio, and I had absolutely nothing to put in it. Like, oh no.
From the ashes.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of led into the sort of freelancing side of things whilst I was in uni. There's a lot in that question. I'm kind of lost in the way.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So, like again, within all of that, were you not working at the cocktail bar as well at this point? Flipping out, right? I really want to like really ship this to folks listening. This guy, like Nathan, I remember phone calls at 3 a.m. Like I remember those days. There was a lot going on in your life at the time in terms of like up all hours, doing a course that you were like, in your words, like the education took a bit of a backseat. You're working a cocktail job, um, money to survive, but then you're sitting yourself down and being like, this is not what I signed up for. What do I actually want? And again, I know that all three of us have done this at certain points, and we're still very much on that journey. But the guts to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, this is not what I signed up for. I need to make some changes. It's a hard gig, man. Like it is. I mean, it's hard. I find it hard hearing that from you guys, and I trust you guys. Like when I've got stuff going on, and I'm like, I don't know how to get from A to B, and then you're like, well, this is it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But for you to sit down and do that yourself and claw it back, and then be a success story out of all this, like Nathan, how off to you? Like half the reason I wanted to call you up was literally to say, flipping good on you, man. Like me and Baron have watched this story for years, and there's definitely been points when it's like, is this gonna work? And he's done it. He's only gone and done it.
Oh man, yeah, you poor things. Thank you.
No, we just answered
and you
the phone.
still talk to me today.
And we still talk to you. Yeah. No, it's
God.
important.
No.
Like, I think people need to hear. Like it takes trusted friends. I'll give you that. Like we can give me and Matt a little bit of credit, but
you get
the
like
work,
hella credit. A good. I don't know, have a percentage and all the rest of it, but yeah, you did help me survive the majority of that. So thank you both.
But the opportunities at uni, how did you? Yeah. You talk.
Oh man, I mean, I think going back to what I said or what you said about what I said, the losing focus on the academic side, like yeah, it got a bit out of hand, and I was just completely doing the wrong things. Really, I was just out doing things and spending time in places I shouldn't be spending time in, and drinking and enjoying the other side of being a student more than being a student. And I think, if I'm honest, now looking back at it, like a bit older, a lot of it was this year just felt so lost.
Yeah.
And it was just easier to do other things and distract yourself, go out and do all these things, and than it was to actually face that I'm lost. And you're able to coast like that for a while, good 2 years, 3 years maybe, or more, with that kind of mindset, just ignoring things and I'll be fine, and we're just God, and not really taking things seriously. But there was a point where things were going every side of life was going downhill, and it was all based around the point where I just felt lost, and I had to kind of really sort of decide, man, what's going on, like there was no running away from this one. It was like, what do you want? Like what's going on? And I have to be honest with myself. I was like, I'm doing the wrong things. I'm spending time and effort and energy. That was the thing that got me the most. The time and effort and energy I spent into doing the wrong things that could have got me into better things. And I was like, I need to put that back into the right places.
Yep.
And then again, did the whole thing like I did before college and stuff. What do you want? How are you gonna get there?
Yep.
What do you need to do and get there? And then time of life really around, I suppose, really started to really focus on design and illustration and skills and just kind of doing the right things. Really, I still didn't really have a plan on the job title, where I was going to get to, but I just knew I was trying to progress to a place where I could choose, I suppose, really, where I had the options, as opposed to wishing I was at a level. I wanted to actually get there for once, instead of being like wishing I was there, So that was what it was, really. I think the being honest side of things, I don't know, I guess people are different. Some people wake up one day and like, I want to be a doctor, and they go up and do it. Or some people, have always been focused from day one. There's not everybody, but I suppose for me, I did have to be honest and really analyze what was going on at the time. I'm just trying to think of that, really. That did lead into uni,
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, off the back of that, like taking responsibility for who you are and where you want to go, hard look in the mirror, making changes to the point where, you were guest lecturing at the uni at one point, were you not? I know.
I was,
Like
yeah, I was doing
the
screen.
worst student ended up being the hardest grafter in the room to then get what he wanted. I was gonna say, like, Matt, jump in at any point on this, but like
No,
yeah, like Nathan. Like Nathan, you pulled it back. Like I guess, like an important thing to really highlight is like what did that or how would you encourage somebody else to do that? Like if somebody's listening and they're like, yeah, man, that's me. It's like what would you say to them to kind of give them encouragement to make those changes?
Um, oh, damn.
I mean, it's
You
hard. Like
know, I
we're
guess,
living in a tough time just now. So on you go.
yeah. I mean, it's just linking there. Like, there wasn't a pandemic at the time, so I guess I
Mm,
don't know. But I suppose I think really, if people are finding themselves in a similar situation or mindset where they're just lost and going with the flow and doing things to kind of, I don't know, distract themselves from the fact that they're not happy. I guess that can only really happen for so long,
mm,
and the longer it lasts, you might find you get more sort of bitter or upset or sad and lead you down to paths where you're doing things and starting habits that you don't particularly want purely because of that, really. But I guess if
mm.
there is a time where you can, look at yourself or just sit with yourself and just literally just be honest about your situation. That's the hardest part about the whole thing. The actual getting to where you want to go afterwards is not the hardest part. It's the accepting that you're in a bad spot. You don't know what's going on. You need to make some changes, and then being like, right, it's, you can, there probably is people at fault and other things at fault, but like there's owning the parts that are your fault and what
Yeah,
you can change
yeah,
is the part you need to get at. And you
yeah,
get past the whole, yeah, but if they didn't do that and he didn't like me, and but it's
yeah.
when you get down to the point where it's like, yeah, but none of, all these parts were me and no one else. And these are the parts that I need to change, really.
Mm.
But if I was going to encourage anyone to do it, I'd say, like, yeah, because you just get yourself into a place where you want to be, really, just start
Mm.
being happy.
Mm. It's that whole, I come back to this phrase quite a lot because when I heard it, I was just like, that's it. It's so simple, but it actually is. It's really hard. Slay the dragon, get the gold, share it with the community. In order to slay a dragon, you have to highlight what the hell it is first. It's like, what are the dragons in my life, and which one am I going to tackle first, so that I can get that gold and then share it with other people as well. And I think certainly part of that sharing is it's almost like offering it for critique as well. I've noticed recently that my art practice is actually significantly improved by having trusted either friends or other art folk in the community uh, do a paint over, offer a suggestion, point out something that might be, if it's a good friend, something in your personal life where you can take it and be like, yep, I'll have that phone call at 3 a.m, because it's for your best interest. And I think expanding your network and making the most of your environment all starts with everything you've just said, which is face your own demons first, and have that honest look in the mirror, and then and build from there. I Yeah, I think we've, like I said at the beginning, we've all done this really, really well and absolutely terribly at different points. I know all three of us have had an absolute hell of a year. But again, Nathan, um going from like achieving, well, first of all, achieving that mindset, putting it into action, finishing uni, and now getting a graphic design job, even that has not been an easy ride.
No. It all started. No. Oh, man. God, literally going back now to say all these things. So, like, well, at uni. To be honest, I mean, I think at this stage, in terms of implementing the new plan now and trying to
Mm,
sort my life out, the next day you
yeah.
still feel like crap, but you still gotta try and implement. It's like you try to, like, I don't know, get healthy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then you wake up and you actually gotta go to the gym. You're like, oh no, that kind of way. But like, you gotta push past that. And I guess for
Mm,
me, it was sitting at the computer in my room, be like, yep, gonna learn how to do all these things now, and then I started giving myself little sort of projects to do, like little things to make and design, and then, like I'd make it, and then I'd be like, yeah, I did it, and I was like, this is awful. Like I need to actually design for actual people. I need to actually have like pressure and all these things behind me. So at the time, I was working in a bar, and they had a lot of posters and stuff about, and then I was just like, hey man, to my boss, I was like, can I design some of these posters? I'll do it for free. And he's like, yeah. And he gave me one to design. It took me so long to make this poster, and it was one of the worst things I've ever done in my life. But I did it.
But you did it.
Wrote it. And then, it was just, now looking back at it, was one thing it's awful. But like at the time, I was so proud. And he was like, yeah. And then that led to me making more and more. I didn't charge for these at the time. I had no experience or anything. I just wanted experience. I just wanted to get some practice and really, just try
so valuable though.
Yeah, but it led to me actually ending up doing the design work for that bar, the sister bar, and the other chains of that bar in Aberdeen and in Edinburgh and Dundee and bits. Like, it actually did transform. I had a lot of creative control at White Point, actually, a lot of the bars, just from doing those free posters, which that was kind of the start of it. And that was kind of what gave me the buzz, that kind of putting yourself out there, asking, and then working hard, and then actually turning into something. That was what kind of gave me that sort of buzz to keep doing things like that. Like if that worked out, what can I do with that? And then ways to kind of get more clients. And then with uni, I finished uni, and again, most people are doing courses or design courses or non-design courses. It's that day where people go, now what? And you're like, I don't know. So I decided to try and do more freelancing, but then I ended up with my friend of mine. We ended up sort of working together in a company, graphic design and print studio. So then obviously we had to get our own clients in. So we were kind of freelance, but in the umbrella of a company, really. We're just trying to get all these clients in, and it was great because we were our own bosses, but it was awful because we were our own bosses. And like every time, it was really good because you control over everything apart from people paying invoices on time and all the rest of it. But it was really good. It's just, but I had to work. We both had to work really hard, and we did. And we had to try and work hard to get clients in and promote ourselves and social media and engaging and creating an audience and actually doing the job as well, like actually doing the job once we actually said we could do the job, and did that for about a year and a half or so. That was really fun, really good, and I learned so much there.
Do you think having someone to work with, sorry to interrupt, but do you think that helped you, having another person alongside you in a very similar situation?
Oh yeah, definitely, because you're both in it together. I mean, like, you're in it together. It's the same, like, even when you're doing things like studying or working, you have somebody who's with you. They understand every single part of what you're going through that minute, that day. I could call you guys at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, but it's different when the person's here and they visually see it, but it did, because you don't feel so alone in it. And then even in the point where you don't know what's going on, you don't know you're doing it together, like it was nice to have somebody with me. I don't think I wouldn't be able to pull that whole thing off without him. So, but it was definitely a big help. Yeah. I know you're painting right now alone. Do you find it kind of daunting or hard, or do you keep yourself motivated? It's like
part of me really does miss the studio, because although I hated being watched whilst I was doing the painting, I really loved being able to just wander around and talk to someone else about the work, and they were in the same situation as you say. There's not that anymore. So what I love and rely on a lot is having people like Martha and Joanthan and you guys, like, to bounce ideas off, or just show the work to before I release it online or whatever, and say, look, I'm working on this, what do you guys think? but it's the thing that drove me the most at uni that I really do miss was the group critiques. Because although they were harsh, especially from some of the lecturers, it actually, you built up a defense about your work. So you learn how to justify your work, you learn how to take the criticism, you learn how to look at your work objectively without getting too attached to it. Because although there's a lot of heart in your work, you also need to be able to step back and look at what's wrong and what's right. And cut bits off if it needs to. So, sorry for the ramble, but yeah, it's being on my own. As you say, it's great because, you know, I can just do whatever I want. But then sometimes it's like, what the hell do I do?
I'm curious though, where do you, because what you do, like, you know, for instance, the self-portrait behind you, then you have commissions, like for it's hard when you say like you want to take it to heart and stuff like that. I find that kind of amazing because I feel like you have to put so much of yourself in these pieces because it's your pieces. So where do you draw the line then when it comes to painting, like say commissions or painting like personal projects, in terms of not getting too attached?
Commissions, I have to be very clear with whoever it is asking me that they will get my style or my artistic interpretation. I have to make that clear at the start so that at the end, if they're not happy with it, I have the thing to say, look, I understand if you're not happy with the style of it, but that's what you asked for. If I've done something wrong with it, then I can say, okay, I've done that bit wrong, I'll go over and do it again. So that bit I have to make clear that it is my artwork. Personal projects are a very different matter. So things like this are a difficult one because I have some people look at paintings of me, as an example, the selfies that I've done. They've gone, oh, this doesn't really look like you. I've gone, but it's me. But then I have to step back again and say, look, you see things very differently. Everybody sees things differently. Art is so subjective, and that's one of the most wonderful and terrible things about it. So if you don't like my technical work for specific reasons, point them out and I'll be like, yeah, okay, those are things I need to work on. If you don't like my creativeness, that's your taste, or that's our taste conflicting, or something. At one point I had an issue, and I'll just say this quickly, sorry, because I'm rambling. The one point I had a real problem was when I was actually trying to say something with a piece. And it was the Change Your World piece, the stencil work, if you put it up at some point. That was a spur of the moment, playing around with spray paints. I thought, yeah, I want to do that, I want to say. And it was basically change our world and then put it to change your world, and made it into a bit of a thing of, it's a shared world, basically. That's all I was trying to say. And I thought, it wasn't exactly meant to be political. It was just a kind of, this is our shared place.
Sure.
It was meant to be a uniting thing rather than a divisive thing. I remember somebody looked at it and went, oh, you've gone all political. Look. All right. Does that mean you disagree with it? And then I had to sort of, that's when it gets difficult, is when you put yourself so much into a piece that you're saying something and someone else comes on and disagrees with the very thing you're saying, the message in it. Then you've got to have some stones in you to be able to just, I couldn't brush it off. I had to just leave it and take that, and you know, that's a harder thing to take. Like, criticize my work all you like. I mean, it's the
message.
But the message itself, I didn't think anyone would really have a problem with.
That's such an interesting one as well, because we've literally just been talking about taking responsibility and changing your world, and then and then you're gonna have feedback, which is like, don't know about that. And it's like, well, it's up to you, mate. It's up to you. I guess that's just it. Yeah. So we've got 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. If there was, Nathan, I still really want to kind of, in a nutshell, I would love to hear what kind of passing message that you've got for folks who are listening, and also, if you can just hint at like what you're kind of up to now, again, from I don't know what I'm doing at college to you made it as a graphic designer, the importance of that network. Hit me.
Well, you see, what was I saying? I think there's a lot in that, to be honest. Like, a lot, like, to say without rambling or going on a big speech or whatnot. You know, like, I mean, at the moment, right now, graphic designer, working for a very large company in Ireland, which is really great. Before that, I was worked in the last job where I had a lot of opportunities to work with some of the bigger companies that I've always sort of looked up to, like to create artwork for like Guinness and Game of Thrones and other bits. And there've been really good experiences along the way through these companies, but getting there, and now I'm here. I say I'm here. I have so much more I want to accomplish and so much more I want to do. Like, I'm not even where I really want to be. But on that note, I think what made my life about 10,000 times harder during this whole process from Birmingham to here is the pressure I put on myself, and I think not acknowledging the sort of small little victories along the way, or the accomplishments along the way. You know, not being able to pat yourself in the back and be like, you started off not being able to do anything, and now you're here. You may not be where you want to be, but something I would say is just like, try and appreciate where you are as you're going along this journey, which is going to be a constant journey for anybody. But, you know, try not to be too hard on yourself. You know, try to be patient with yourself. You know, you can't, things are obviously not to be typical, but Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, things do take time, but during that time, do try to appreciate all the things you are doing in between until you get to where you want to be. You know, I still have lots of things I want to be doing and lots of places I want to get to, but like, you know, I'll get there. Yeah. But I have to kind of sit and look. And what made me kind of really sort of acknowledge that, I guess, how hard I was on myself. Like, I designed something for a craft beer company once, and I wasn't planning on it being taken up or whatever. Like, I just designed it. I saw a gap in there, sort of market. I just want to try it out. I designed something, sent it in to see what they thought. Maybe get a free beer, and they actually bought it. And it was kind of shared around a lot, and people were like, that's great, and all the rest of it. At the time, I was so focused on the things like uni and you know, the jobs and like getting commissions and all the rest of it. I didn't even really take any time to sort of pat myself and be like, actually, you know what, that was a really good thing that you did there. Like, using your initiative, and people are wearing it and sending you pictures on a daily basis, and you're tagged in like Tokyo and shit like that. You know, I was like, well done. It took me a year to actually turn around and be like, oh, that was actually a good thing, and you should be quite proud of that.
It's a good thing.
So if there's any passing message without rambling on anymore, it's that, really. I'd say.
I love that. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you for listening to Art Notes. I will put all the details in the show notes, where you can find both Matt and Nathan Mellis. Have a good one. Cheers, guys. Take care.
See you later.